Hello, everyone. Warm welcome to our webinar. Whether you're joining us from Asia, Europe, America. So we're thrilled to have you here. We should be having participants from all over the world connected through Zoom, but also on LinkedIn Live. So thank you for joining us for this webinar. This is the third one this year. This time we've chosen a fascinating topic, which is also one of the main services that we provide to our clients, business intelligence. So some of you may already be experts in BI, others might be just curious to learn more, explore its potential, maybe for implementation in their respective companies. But in any case, we believe it's an incredibly interesting topic. The speakers for today will be Quang Duan, Director of Client Services at Innovature BPO. We are honored to have Jonathan Richter, Senior Director of Technology Services at one of the largest IT staffing companies in the US, Pinnacle Group. And I'm Sebastian, your moderator for this webinar. I'll be actively participating throughout the presentation as well, offering additional information and insights as needed. The agenda for today is divided in 4 sections. The first section, Quang will provide insightful explanation of the component of business intelligence and delve into its historical context as a rapidly growing field. Moving to the second section, Jonathan and I will cover the BI implementation and its journey. And in section number 3, we'll take the opportunity to ask Quang and Jonathan the most frequently asked questions from our prospects in regards to our BI services. And yeah, I'm very excited to hear the valuable insight on those topics. And lastly, and hopefully, if we have time, we reserve the final section exclusively for the question from our audience. So please feel free to drop your question anytime in the Q&A. If we have time, we'll cover those answers in the last section. If not, yeah, we can always find the time to send you an email with all of this. So with all that, I will hand it over to Quang to commence the first section. Thanks you again for being here. And Quang, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Seb. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm glad to be here Friday night to talk about BI. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I will be presenting to you some of the basics about BI, as well as, that includes the definition, the components of BI, as well as some of the, history or the evolution of BI in the last 30, 40 years. So let's take a look at the first section that I will be presenting, which is the definition of BI and then the components of it. So BI refers to the processes, technologies, and the tools that convert raw data into actionable insight. So let's imagine, it is similar to uncovering hidden information to provide the companies with the knowledge that they need to make the informed decisions. So at the core of BI, there are 5 key components and processes that drive the effectiveness of the solution. So let's take a look at each of the elements. The first element here is data sources. So data is the lifeblood of any BI initiatives and in any companies. Business intelligence thrives on data, and as a business analyst, our mission here is to discover and connect the dots within this data. We have data sources that could be very vast and diverse. It could be internal data from our internal database or from the ERP system, or it could be external data that includes the market research data or marketing data. So the whole data sets that we are talking about contributes to the comprehensive view of our business operations, and therefore we need to use it effectively. The second component of the BI is warehousing. So now we have data sources. We have to have a way to store the data. So data warehousing is the art of collecting, storing, organizing data in a structured and accessible manner. Just think of it as a foundation upon any BI solution would stand on. A robust BI database would ensure that our critical information is readily available to for any analytics application, or enable us to make the timely and informed decisions. The third component of the BI is integration. To extract the insights, data integration plays a critical role. It involves the consolidation of data from various sources to ensure the compatibility and coherence between the sources. This step is very important, and actually this is very essential to create a unified platform for BI reporting, setting the stage for any other downstream applications that use the data. The fourth component in the BI journey here is the data visualization. So in an era of big data, or in other words, a lot of data, presenting the complex information in a visually digestible format is critical. And that is important for both the decision makers as well as the users. Data visualization tools are just our allies in this journey. It helps transform the intricate, complex data sets into more intuitive charts and dashboards. These visuals are the key asset for the users to optimize the business strategy, as well as to make the informed decisions. The last components of data or BI here is reporting tools. So in the grand stage of BI, reporting tools are more of a storytellers. They convey insights for the decision makers in a clear and concise manner. These reports are the bridges of between the raw data and the strategic action. So it is very important for us to leverage them effectively. So we cover the 5 components. A lot of people would ask, which one is more important? In fact, all 5 are equally important. And for any companies that consider adopting the BI strategy or creating their own BI roadmap, they should consider all these 5 and have a very clear directions on how to implement those effectively. The next section that I will be talking about here is some of the history of BI and the trend, the current trend, as well as the future. How does it look like? So we have on the chart here on the left, we have the business value from low to high. And then on the x-axis here, we have the timeline. So let's think BI as a journey, and the companies that truly excel in this journey have gone from the basics of reporting to analysis to monitoring, and ultimately reach the predictive analytics, which they can use for optimization. And all of this, and at each of this stage here, it helps unlock the improvement in their performance. So the journey started in 1980s when companies started accumulating data, and they start introducing reporting capabilities as well. The reports in 1980s were usually, very static, and even though it was available to all the users, it could only tell us what has really happened. So some examples of the reports, for example, the ERP reports or the sales report from Salesforce or something like that. So even though they are very valuable, they also have limitations. The data that they present is fixed, and they do not allow deep dives or alternative views of information. They give us the insights into the present and the past, but they do not take us beyond the snapshot. The next exciting phase of our BI journey here is an analysis, which companies started adopting in 1990s. This is where the business analysts would, start digging into the why behind the event to help the users, to help the decision makers understand why it happened, and so that they can make a smarter choice in the future. If the reports give us the data points or the snapshot, the analysis here is all about connecting those data points to uncover the relationships and to explain why it is connected in certain ways. Some of the common tools in this area here would be visualization tools or OLAP, or online and analytical processing. The next phase that we have seen was monitoring. So I think this is a game changer that a lot of companies adopted in 2000s. It provides the real-time insights into what is happening right now. And it allows the managers, the executives, or the workers to spot the issues, intervene, and make corrections almost instantly, rather than waiting for the reports that we have seen in the 1980s. So dashboard, scorecard, dashboard, alerts are the popular monitoring tools that have been widely adopted. Moving on to the next phase is the predictive analytics. So we reached the exciting new phase of BI journey here with the advancement of big data and the modern infrastructures. Data scientists and engineers have started building their data mining and predictive models in the 2010s. It takes us to the future and help us foresee what might happen next. While this is not, very pervasive in every industry right now, but it has already become more mainstream in some of the toolkits. For example, the credit scoring applications predict the potential bad debt that have been used a lot by the banks, or the pricing and revenue management system forecast the optimal pricings to kind of balance the expense and the revenue. And then last but not least, the current phase. So we are in the optimization, leveraging the predictive analytics result. When we have the insights into the future, we gain even more opportunities to act, to adapt, and excel when making the decisions to produce the best possible result. And that is important. In this phase, companies invest heavily in their data capabilities to optimize their best case scenarios, and then from that, they can achieve the results that they have never seen before. For example, like today's weather forecast models allow the farmers to plan their crops throughout the year while achieving the highest yield that they have ever seen before. So, just to conclude for this section here, optimization is the destination of our BI journey because it promises a whole new way to proactively shape our future. The next section that I will be touching on here is, about technology. So as you can see, BI operations have evolved significantly over the years, but let's not forget what enabled that evolution, which are the advancement in technologies and the changes in process, in business process or business practices. And in this section, I will cover those advancements as well. And during 1980s, when the concept of data warehousing emerged, this innovation allowed the companies, the organization to centralize volumes of data into a single location. And this is important because the centralization made the data more accessible for analysis and reporting. And then in 1990s, we witnessed the growth of data mining and the importance of data mining in BI operations as well. it involves the use of statistical analysis and algorithms to uncover the patterns within the huge extensive data sets. This enables organizations to extract the insights from their data more effectively and more accurately. In the 2000s, the explosive growth of the internet and the digital technologies led to exponential increase in data generated by the companies. This phenomenon gave rise to the concept big data. So what is big data? It is a way for the data scientists or the data engineers to handle and derive insights from such a vast data sets, and that require the brand new set of tools and technologies and infrastructure to support those analysis. And we talked about the cloud computing gained prominence in the early 2010s, and that offered a scalable and cost-effective solutions for data management and analysis. And this is what much needed when for the companies to be able to handle the huge data sets. The companies and the businesses increasingly turn to cloud-based BI solution with the purpose or the goal here is to reduce the need for extensive on-prem technologies or infrastructures. And from that, they could also reduce the cost and the risk associated with those assets. In the late 2010s, enabled by the updated modern infrastructures, cloud technologies, as well as significant processing power, AI and machine learning advancement have had a profound impact on BI as well. These technologies have automated a lot of BI processes and fundamentally changed the way the companies operate. And from data processing to advanced analysis and to automated reporting. So this stage significantly enhanced the efficiency of all of those operations. And then in recent times, we have seen a lot of initiatives that promote the self-service BI, and we actually have seen the notable shift toward the self-service BI models. More and more companies have been onboarded with this approach where it empowers the non-technical users within organizations to create and analyze the report themselves independently, and reducing the dependence on IT departments or BI analysts or data analysts. So it also promotes a more agile and responsive approach to data-driven decision-making. And so all of these 6 important developments have fundamentally impacted the way the companies or the organizations to design and implement their BI strategies. And just to summarize, this part, BI operations have evolved significantly over the last 40 years. And with the companies adopting new technologies, new practices, new processes to manage and analyze data more effectively and efficiently. Those developments have helped companies make more and more informed decisions and gain competitive edge in their industries. So that would be it for my section. Back to you, Seb.
Thank you, Quang. That was very comprehensive and it's a great introduction to the world of BI. And now I would like to extend a warm welcome to our next speaker, Jonathan Richter. Again, he's Senior Director of Technology Services at Pinnacle Group. He's based in Dallas, I believe, in Texas. So good morning, Jonathan, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Sebastian. Hi, everyone. Like my introduction, I'm Jonathan Richter. I'm the Senior Director of Technology Services at Pinnacle Group. Welcome everyone who's joined all across the world. Really excited to present some good material today. So Quang had kind of given you the roadmap of BI. What I'm going to go over is more so how to execute it. So you got the history. Now, what do I do when it comes to choosing a BI tool? So I'm going to focus on 5 big topics today. It's going to be first, securing executive sponsorship. The next one's going to be choosing the right BI tool. The third one's going to be integrating BI with existing systems. The fourth one's going to be training skill development for your employees. And then the fifth one's going to be ensuring data security and compliance. So let's dive right in. So you might be asking yourself, where do I really start when it comes to a BI tool? Well, the first step would be securing executive sponsorship. So that executive sponsor at your company can provide the necessary resources, support, and influence needed to ensure the project's viability and a smooth execution. And that might not be that easy to find the executive sponsor. You're going to really have to ask yourself, who are my executives? What makes that executive tick? What are their goals? Are they driven by, cost savings? Are they driven by the analytics? And ask yourself, what keeps them up at night? And, you can be very frank with them and ask them these 3 questions and really get their feedback, so that you are both on the same page when it comes to this journey that you're about to embark on. Your BI project, the school that you're about to build and undergo, it needs to be the solution that they've been waiting for. It needs to satisfy all of their needs, and all their goals that they've been looking for. So now that you've found that executive sponsor, what homework do I need to be doing next? The next slide. Sorry about that. I might have clicked it before you, Sebastian. So now that you got the executive sponsor, how are you going to get their buy-in? Can we go back one more slide? So the first thing that you need to do, you need to treat this as a business case. You need to explain how your project can boost revenue, cut costs, and help make decisions, going forward. You need to use solid data to back up your claims. And you got to align this project with their bigger picture. You don't want to be just satisfying a niche need. You need to be looking towards the future growth of the company and making sure that your BI tool is actually going to be sustainable and be more widely used than just like a niche area of the company. It's really, really important to also emphasize the ROI, or return on investment. You need to highlight how your BI project will bring that revenue, whether that's through increased profits, reduced expenses, or supercharged efficiency. You just got to make sure that the numbers really add up when you're presenting this business case. And then another couple things that you should take into consideration when you're securing this executive sponsor, it's really important to address the potential roadblocks. Our executives at Pinnacle love to see the foresight that team members have and the amount of research and effort that they put into it to address potential roadblocks. That means that, when you hit them, you've got different options to go around those roadblocks, so it doesn't come to a screeching halt when you do hit one of those. No one likes surprises, especially executives. So very important just to lay out those risks and how you plan to tackle them. And then the next few things, we can go back one more slide. Just, reassuring the competitive edge, just demonstrating proof of concepts. So maybe go online, get the free version of the tool, build a quick proof of concept so that they can really visualize what you're about to do. Make sure that you have effective communication with that executive, build the trust with that executive, and also be flexible in your approach. be open to outside opinion. Just because you built this fabulous business case to present the executive, be open to outside opinion so that y'all can both be on the same page and make it effective when you deploy it. So now that we've secured the executive sponsor, what's my next thing? And that is choosing the right BI tool. Choosing the right tool. You don't want to choose a hammer to drive in a screw. You want to get a screwdriver to make sure that it all goes through the wood correctly, right? So that's the same thing with BI tools. And there is a lot of BI tools out in the marketplace today. So some things do visuals better, some things do massive data dumps better, some things do predictive analytics better. So you really got to ask yourself, what am I trying to solve for? And go out there and do your research because there are a ton of tools in the marketplace. So the first thing, how well does that BI tool match your business needs? So like I said earlier, different tools have different strengths. Some do really good visuals, others do predictive analytics better. So you really got to ask yourself, what am I going after here? And then the next thing, what insights and analytics do you need? And then on top of that, you also want to ask yourself about the budget. So, you got to think not just about the initial cost, but you got to think about the long-term expenses too. So obviously there's licensing costs with BI tools, there's subscription plans, there's support plans. But I think the thing that comes back and kind of bites people in the butt is not really considering their ongoing maintenance costs. You've got to have trained team members on board. Things could break down the road. So make sure to factor in all those ongoing maintenance costs to kind of get to what we at Pinnacle call like a total cost of ownership for this tool. And then the next three things that are up when you're choosing the right BI tool, you got to have technical expertise. Some tools require a really solid, deep technical understanding to set it up. And then others, they're just kind of, you flip on the light switch and they're ready to go. So depending on what you choose, you got to ask yourself, do I have all the training material? Do I have someone on board that has that level of expertise to make sure that we can implement it smoothly and we don't have any gaps when we go to implement it? And then naturally, you want to look for tools that are easy to use and don't require that much skills. Depending on their tools, some of them are more intuitive to set up, others aren't that intuitive. But what I've noticed with the ones that aren't that intuitive to set up, those tend to have like the best online documentation. So, do your research up front and make sure you have that technical expertise. The next section here is scalability. So you want to make sure that you choose a BI tool that can grow with you. As your company grows, you want to make sure that you don't outgrow this tool. So it needs to be able to handle more data. It needs to be able to handle more users using it and all accessing it at the same time. And it needs to meet the complex needs of your organization as they continue to evolve. And then the third thing here, data sources. You got to think through all the different pieces of data that you have at your organization. Some of them might be SQL databases, Oracle databases. Some of them might be as simple as just spreadsheets with Microsoft Excel. Some of them might need to connect to cloud services. And then other tools, you might want to be looking at the data connectors. Maybe it needs to connect to another SaaS application. So just cast the net as wide as you can, kind of really understand all my data sources, and then factor that in when you're going to choose your right BI tool. The next three right here, also very important to consider when choosing the right BI tool. You want to consider security and compliance. Security is a very hot topic in the IT industry. Across all industries, really. So you want to make sure that your data is secure and it follows any industry regulations. You want to make sure that your data is encrypted and you have access controls in place and you're able to audit who is accessing your data. You want to look for a tool that's also easy to use. So your BI team is probably going to be the ones setting up this tool, implementing the tool, but when it comes to external users adapting this tool and actually using this tool, you want to make sure that it's very intuitive and easy to use. That way it allows non-technical users to create their own reports and dashboards. That kind of goes back to that last pillar in Quang's evolution or BI roadmap. The industry is really moving towards self-serve reporting. So making sure that you have a tool that's easy to use will get wider adoption across your organization. And then the last one here, support and training. Make sure that the BI tool offers really good support. I've seen too many times where companies purchase the cheapest tool out in the marketplace, but they don't, and something breaks, and then they go to contact their account manager, and it's just crickets. So you want to make sure that your tool has very good support, and as well as, like I was talking about earlier, you want to make sure that you have good training resources and documentation. Look for tools that have like community forums where you can go online and research and ask fellow users of that tool, questions about what challenges they're experiencing. And that goes a long way to making sure that you don't have to hire an outside company to come in and help you support that. You can take on that knowledge and that learning on your own through good online documentation. And then the next three, we're choosing, I think this is the last three for choosing the right BI tool. A lot goes into choosing the BI tool, if you couldn't already tell. You want to make sure that it has good performance. So you want to test the tool with sample data. You want to give it a really good representative data set that you utilize at your company. If that's 100,000 rows or if that's 500 million rows, you want to make sure that it responds quickly and can perform under that pressure. Customization, your business is unique and your BI tools should be unique. So you need to be able to customize it. Some BI tools can let you embed your company logo on it. Some of them allow you to do custom dashboards outside of the out-of-the-box dashboard. So you want to make sure that you can customize it, and you also want to make sure if your company is advanced enough to use APIs, you want to make sure that those are available and integrations are available so that you can continue to expand that data set that you bring into the BI tool. And then the last thing to consider, the reputation of the BI tool. Go online, do a lot of research, make sure that the tool that you are choosing is a trustworthy vendor in the marketplace. You want to see someone that has reliable software. You also want to make sure you choose a BI tool vendor that releases updates as frequently, once a quarter, annually. You want to make sure that you're choosing a tool that's continuing to evolve its own tool as you evolve your own business. But all in all, take your time, do your research, and most importantly, choose wisely. So we talked about securing the executive sponsor. We talked about choosing the right BI tool. Now that you got the right BI tool, how do I go about integrating that BI tool with my existing systems? It can be very overwhelming if you have a lot of systems at your company. So just to start off, you want to make sure that the BI solution can integrate with your existing systems. So that probably means you need to take inventory of all those systems. And you want to make sure that the data can be moved from various sources to the BI platform efficiently. And as Quang pointed out in his kind of BI roadmap, that little highway, That can mean setting up a data warehouse. A lot of these BI tools run very efficiently when you create a data warehouse that brings all these different data sources and puts it into, a star schema, a fact and dimension model that is easily consumed by the analytical tool. But kind of going down all these different topics here. So you want to make sure you have data compatibility. So making sure that your BI solution can work easily with the data formats and the structures used in your current systems. You want that data to flow smoothly from various sources into your BI platform. The next one, you want to have data governance. So think of data governance as the rules and regulations of your data. You want to establish policies up front and procedures to ensure that that data stays secure and it's reliable throughout the integration journey. The next one, you want to make sure that you have integration tools. So does it have application programming interfaces and connectors? These tools can make data integration that much more of a breeze. A lot of the tools out in the marketplace, they offer what they call like out of the box connectors. So if you have a SaaS application, you can go into the BI tool, choose the connector, point it to that SaaS application, feed it the credentials, and then boom, it just sucks the data into the BI tool, and you wash your hands and you're done. You don't have to go through this elaborate like ETL, extract, transform, load, and then build like an SSIS package on top of it. You can just use that out of the box connector.
Jonathan, we as I moderate this webinar, we don't have much time. So if you could like wrap up and focus on like the key elements for until the rest of this of your section, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. You're passionate. That's normal.
I get excited about it.
Yeah.
So let's kind of just pick and choose the next few that I think are the most critical. So real-time data, you need to ask yourself, do I need to be building my analytics in real time? That goes back to asking your executive sponsor. So this tool that you integrate, you need to make sure that if real-time data is a requirement, that it can meet that need. And then probably the last one, monitoring and maintenance. You want to make sure that the BI tool can be monitored. You want to do regular checkups with this tool and making sure that all your integrations with this BI tool are running effectively and efficiently. And these next ones will be quick. I think they're pretty intuitive. You want to make sure that you have the proper training and skill set development for your employees. So first off, you want to hire qualified personnel. You might be starting with a team of 0, or you might be starting with a team of 50. You need to ask yourself, do those employees have the skill set needed to support this tool? And if they don't already have those skills, there's kind of a couple different options. You can do in-house training. So, if there's one person out of the group of 50 that has a really good knowledge base, you can set up a webinar, keeping the employee kind of like a train-the-trainer approach. And you can also set up workshops. So, introduce the BI tool, cover the basics, and then really encourage like hands-on learning. I find myself, I learn the most effectively when I actually get in there and do something. So, really, really encourage that. And then the last topic I wanted to go over is just really ensuring data security and compliance. Like I mentioned earlier, it is at the forefront of all the executives' minds and all of the company's IT teams' minds right now. So first, you got to ask yourself, do you know the rules? So you got to understand your industry, your company's regulatory landscape. Is GDPR, is HIPAA, are those relevant for my company? And if they are relevant, what am I doing to ensure data security around those rules and regulations? So again, with this one, do your research to really understand those regulatory rules. And then go through a data classification. You really need to identify sensible data and valuable data in your organization. Think of it like a thief going by your parked car. They're probably not going to reach for your empty McDonald's cup. They're going to reach for your laptop in there. So kind of think through your data is the same way. A thief out there is not going to be probably interested with the geographical location of something. They're probably going to be reaching after those export IDs and that sort of thing. So go through a data governance and classification. And then really the thing I'm going to probably point out here is encryption, making sure that your infrastructure has the ability to encrypt data when it's at rest or in transit, because in case your data does fall in the wrong hands, this provides a level of protection, so it's encrypted and they can't decrypt that information and get any critical or proprietary information out of it.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Was a bit long, but very insightful. So I will be short myself for the section. We're still in section 2, but section 2B, if you will. So it's about the momentum once you already implemented BI. So there are certainly ways to encourage adoptions, but if you're still looking to implement it, just make sure you are adequately preparing your staff ahead of time. So try to involve your employees early on. So you should collaborate with every department to clarify how the BI tool will enhance their daily tasks. The next one is demonstrate the BI capabilities. Jonathan talked about this, but experiencing firsthand is the most convincing approach for me as well. So if it's advisable to provide them with a demo of the tool, of this like wide-ranging capabilities, so the staff can be familiar with. The third one is to appoint BI champion. I wanted to call the champions, like advocates for each group or department. And those guys should be well acquainted with the software and have direct communication channels with the supplier to address any issues or difficulties. In number 4, choose the right BI tool. We had a large section about it. But yeah, the BI solution must be flexible and tailored to your specific operation, obviously. And kind of easy to read or accessible, so we understand the data quite easily. Definitely the training, there are updates all the time. So experience continual changes. So you need to have like monthly training or things like that. It's always a great option. And finally, I had the incentivize your staff. I think this is not necessarily bound to BI operations or processes. Could be any process, but definitely environment when people are recognized and rewarded for the dedicated effort is always a great element. So if you implement these essential components amongst your team member who will be involved in the BI journey, so you will, I think, successfully sustain the strong momentum over time. Try to make it short. We should be transitioning to section number 3. It could be discussion. We'll try to not to make it too long either. So we basically gathered 4 questions that we've been asked the most from the audience, as from business perspective, you're prospecting and you're in meetings with your clients. And we covered partially, I think, but we had our first question about the BI role specifically in small and medium enterprises versus like big companies, maybe. Maybe Kwang can talk about this, because you did your first section. Maybe you can jump first in the conversation.
Yeah. Happy to start on this one, and hopefully, you or Jonathan can add some more insights. So I think, to me, BI is an ally that every single small, medium-sized company should have in this competitive world. So the ability for companies to thrive, I think, depends on pretty much on being data-driven, and I think it is even more true with the small and medium-sized companies. Through BI or analytics, small companies can gain a deeper understanding of their customers, of their operations, competitors, and market trends. And with that knowledge in hand, they can spot opportunities that might have otherwise remained hidden, or they can use it to fine-tune their operations and to get ahead of the competition. So, for example, this is just one example that I've seen. Imagine a small online retailer, although they don't have a lot of resources and capabilities to execute, a full-blown end-to-end solutions, but the new technologies that we have recently do give them the options that fit their needs. So they can employ the app webs, for example, if that is an online retailer, they can use the website analytics to analyze the customer data or to uncover the patterns in purchasing behavior. And they can use it to refine their product offerings or tweak their pricing strategy or try to craft a marketing message more effectively. So I do think BI is not a tool, but it is a strategic advantage that can help level the playing field between the small, medium-sized versus the big corporations. So yeah, that's what I think about BI in small, medium-sized companies.
Okay, great. Jonathan, you want to add something, or?
I think the role of BI is to provide clarity. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of data. So what BI needs to do is provide the clarity, the business insights, show the trends of the company so that you can actually make some actionable business decisions.
And that's very true. I mean, especially we have a lot more data than we used to have in the past. So, refining the data and pick the ones that matter the most to the right user, I think that's important.
Absolutely. And that's good transition for the next question. We've been asked, how did you implement BI in your own organization, or similar use cases with other clients? Of course, we are under NDAs with all of our clients, but maybe we can give some insights on this one.
Jonathan, you want to go first?
So I've been with Pinnacle going on 12 years now. It's a journey, like Kwang said, and during his presentation. So it was a crawl, like baby steps, and then kind of walking, falling into furniture, and then kind of full out sprint. So, we started out with basic Excel spreadsheets. Then we chose a very basic data visualization tool. As we started to grow our footprint at Pinnacle, the team started growing. The executives got buy-in to see these powerful insights and cut cost where it made sense to grow revenue through these basic forms of data visualization. And then we kind of hit a springboard and really just dove into an enterprise level analytics tool. And with that tool, we were able to provide our analytics to our own customers. So we started just very basic internal analytics, and then we pushed it out more broadly to our external customers. And that's really where we are working in right now. So it's been a journey. Probably Quang can share the same sentiment.
Yeah. I think it's you know, once the user know the power of the BIs, they are exciting, and then they are, you know, absolutely more than willing to share with other people, and other people get the same interest, and then it keeps spreading. So I think, like, to me, every BI journey that I worked on was different, and you know, going back to the slides, you know, most of them would start from I think it is critical for the organization to have a very clear idea on what they need, and then on what type of resources, what type of capabilities that they have, and choose the solution that fit both of those. I think that is very important. And you know, along the way, when they execute the roadmap, as long as they can communicate efficiently with the stakeholders, providing adequate training to the users, I think those would help them bring the BI journey to success. One of our clients, you know, they started out small, and they didn't have a lot of resources. They had an issue with visibility to their real-time operational reports. So since they didn't have a lot of resources, they were expecting kind of the end-to-end solution that also, you know, somehow fit that budget, very limited budget as well. So we worked with them trying to find a solution, and we came up with, you know, a solution that offered them a lot of open source that can use for ETLs, open source tool that can be used for ETL. And then for the visualization, we use Power BI to give the user access to the data. So at the end of the day, you know, so the solution, whatever the solution that they choose, has to fit their needs and their capabilities. So I think that's important, and that's why they chose us to support that initiative.
Thank you very much. I was reading the questions in the Q&A, so I will try to save one for later, because I see time is running pretty fast. Next, that's an interesting one, actually, because we talked about all the great things about BI, a lot of benefits, but there are challenges as well in the implementation, and once the process is running. So first, for the implementation, what were the biggest challenge that you faced? Jonathan, maybe, as Quang was speaking before.
Yeah, I think one of the initial challenges were the amount of data sources that we had at our organization, and just the overall complexity of trying to bring all those data sources into one place. So we recognized early on, we had a lot of systems. It was probably best suited if we built a data warehouse to support all these different sources. So that was probably the biggest challenge. You know, writing ETL packages. We were a Microsoft SQL shop, so a lot of our team members rolled up their sleeves, learned how to write SQL queries, to, you know, stored procedures to extract the information from various data sources, whether that would be a existing SQL database, like a relational database that we then put into like a fact and dimension model, whether that was just a flat file load to an SFTP that then we needed to bulk insert into a SQL table and then massage into that fact and dimension table. So, you know, I think a big challenge for us was just the overall complexity of the data. I think it's easy to lose track of, you know, maybe it's a simple UI, a simple system, but the underlying, once you start peeling back those layers, it's very complex data underneath it. So yeah, that was probably a big challenge for us. And then another thing is just the implementation can be very time consuming. You know, we're not talking like we flip the light switch and this is on in a matter of a month. I think our implementation of just our data warehouse build that easily took 4 months, and then getting it connected to the BI tool took like another month or so. So time was also like a big challenge that we ran up against.
Yeah, and for me, I think it's relevant to the complexity and the time-consuming factors that Jonathan brought up as well. And one of the most common, I would say, feedback or complaints from the customer series, you know, implementing BI can be very costly, especially for small and medium-sized companies. They would think the use of, you know, such type of system or solution might be too expensive for their routine transactions. Even though, you know, they were thinking that is a small transaction, easy, simple process. But you know, I personally don't think this is still the case anymore with the more newer or recent developments of new technologies. Companies could do a lot more with a lot less investment compared to before. And I think the companies or the business or the owners should work with the BI experts or the you know, the people on the field to better first they have to, you know, better define their strategies, and from that they can come up with or create a solution that fit their budget and their needs to tackle the issues.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. So there were the challenges in the implementation, but there might be some challenges after it's implemented. So can we talk about this very quickly in 1 or 2 minutes?
Yeah, so I can start. So Jonathan mentioned gathering and refining data is a big challenge, especially for the companies that have a lot of transactions, have a lot of histories, a lot of data sources, and I think like training the end user here is also an issue because in order for us to keep the momentum of adoption, the user have to constantly or continuously be trained on the new technologies. Otherwise, they will lose the interest. And then if the workers or if the employees lose the interest, the adoption would be stagnant. So, you know, always try to keep the fire in their head and in terms of the adoption. And I think like in here, it has a lot of implementation started off with the wrong KPI, or they were assuming that the solution would tackle something, but in fact, it was created to do something else. So without having the proper KPI, it's very hard to convince the executives or the sponsors that we are on the right track. So I think it is important for us to continuously reevaluate the performance, the measurement, and make sure that it reflects the actual facts.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. If we move on to the next slide, the lesson learned. Yeah, I don't think I will take too much time on this. Yeah. Learning when we do, you know, business calls and projects with clients, things like that. Good practice, I would say. So make sure you have people on board with strong business analytics and background that can always help. Take advantage of the vendor's best practice. Yeah, sometimes, you know, third-party consultants, they may have limited best practices. So, but big providers, they do. So take advantage of that. Collaborate to identify the hard question that need answering. It's really, I mean, linked to the previous one. Yeah, don't just convert your existing reports when you move to to a new BI solution or a BI solution, do it gradually. I know it makes sense to retain some of your key existing report, so that's very important. And the last one, yeah, I just named, don't bite off more than you can chew. It means that Kwang did, I know we've been through like ERP migration implementation, and we know all too well that the time and the agony, 2 years, 3 years, before the system is up and running. So deploying a BI solution is quite different. It doesn't have to be painful, and it's usually a bit quicker. You can gradually scale up in your operation. It's 10 p.m. I would like just maybe one question. We had 3 questions, just 1 minute. Can you provide examples of successful BI implementation where organizations were able to leverage data insight to drive significant business outcomes? Wow, that's a big one. What I can tell, the example I have in mind, if I may, I'm sorry, guys, just Netflix, maybe it's a good example. So they use BI to understand customer behavior, the preferences, the viewing patterns, things like that. So by analyzing the data, what shows, movies, subscribers are watching, they can make data-driven decisions about content creation and things like that. So that's a very obvious one that everybody knows. And maybe one word from Clara. For Evelyn, we will send you an email after. But how do I start learning about BI? You're subscribed. I mean, you're just registered. You're attending our webinar, so that's already a good start. But otherwise, is there any like content material that's easy to access from any individual? Do you guys know?
Yeah, I mean, I can give some content. I think the BI field is big enough for anyone to start from anywhere, to be honest. You know, if you are interested in visualization, you know, learn about, the tools that have visualization like Power BI, Tableau, learn those skills. If you are interested in data warehouse, learn SQL, learn NoSQL, ETL, that type of stuff. But I think the most important skill that any business analyst or any data engineers has is the logical thinking and the analytical thinking. So, you know, you don't have to be an expert in Power BI to have the analytical or logical thinking, but you can learn and practice logical thinking in everything you do daily. You can, try to think in a way that when you solve a problem, try to think in a linear logical order. So for example, A leads to B, B leads to C, and C would help solve D, for example. So keep practicing that way until your brain is kind of programmed to think that way when you try to solve the problem. I think that helps a lot, and that would put you ahead of a lot of other people trying to get into the data fields.
And we talked about it earlier, but dive in there. A lot of these enterprise tools, Tableau, Power BI, Oracle Bix, they offer free versions. Go online, download those free versions, start getting in the data. There's a lot of good documentation online. Go to one of their main website, look at any documents that are on there, like a how-to guide, and just start. Don't be afraid to start.
Yep.
Okay, it's a great piece of advice. All right, we need to wrap it up here because we extended 3 minutes. So thank you all, panelists. Special shout out to Jonathan. Thank you for accepting our invitation as guest speaker. And yeah, if you want to have more information about BI specifically or other services, do not hesitate, contact us. You can go through our website, innovaturing.com. Yeah, someone from the business team will get back to you shortly, and we'll get to Evelyn's question with an answer as well. So promise. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.